As you know, I've spent a lot of money buying Gunpla. I've spent a lot of time building Gunpla, but I've never spent this much time or money on one single Gunpla. But that all changed with my latest model kit. That one in question being the perfect grade Strike Rouge plus Skygrasper, coming in at $225 in just about 24 hours of build time that we did almost completely live. So make sure you subscribe and have on notifications so you can see the lives whenever we do the next build. But this kit from 2005 has been quite the investment, so let's see if I got my money's worth or if I should have left this kit back in the 2000s. When it comes to the amount of sheer plastic, this kit definitely holds its own. With around 32 individual runners, some of those are duplicates, so I think it's closer to about 60 some runners. But this is still split pretty evenly between both the Skygrasper and the Strike Rouge. The Skygrasper has 12 individual runners, and the rest all go to the mobile suit. I've unfortunately misplaced all the footage with the runners still in box, but here are all the runners used up. The only real one worth of note is the O runner. It's plated like some of the metallic looking runners I've gotten other kits, like with the Barbatos, but this one has a nice rose gold kind of hue to it. Other than the runners, you're also going to be getting not one, not two, but 3 manuals with this kit. That's 2 construction manuals and 1 instruction manual. The construction manuals are a bit different from something like a regular master grade. They've each got this light blue hue throughout, with just a nice little piece of line art at the beginning. There's no middle insert with cool artwork in it or any paint guides. All of that is actually saved for the instruction manual. If you love cool Gundam artwork, this thing is almost worth the price of admission alone. Okay, it's really not, but it's still really cool. The first page is dedicated to showing off all the different gimmicks of this kit, from moving armor to the AILE striker pack, even the LED kit, which unfortunately the battery is sold separately. Followed by the color guide, and then a few pages talking in great detail in what I can only assume is the origin of the Strike Rouge and the Skygrasper. We get some really sick artwork on each page, including the centerpiece of this Rouge in flight, and this is also sick. I really wish I could reach out. Then, of course, there's the sticker guide and a step-by-step guide on how to attach the AILE Striker Pack to the Rouge, but y'all didn't come to read books, so let's dive straight into this perfect grade, shall we? If you guys didn't check it out, like I mentioned in the beginning, we did most of this build live. Had a ton of fun doing it. That being said, there wasn't really anything that stood out or was particularly interesting about the build just because of its age. It kind of built up almost like a master grade from today's times. I guess you could say the Skygrasper and AILE Striker were the most unique things about it, actually, mostly because it's just not a type of build I get to do ever. It was still just a lot of sandwiching pieces together, but there wasn't an inner frame and it wasn't a mobile suit, so it was different enough and I enjoyed it. Can't really say the same though for the titular mobile suit because it's from 2005. There's a lot of innovations that were there at the time, like the detailed inner frame, sliding thigh, knee, and arm armor, and LED head unit. They were pretty awesome back then, but by today's standard, they're still cool, but obviously they're not as unique or innovative, I should say. But I am still a sucker for a really nice inner frame, and this has one in leaps and bounds, I will say. I did paint a little bit of gold on some of this to kind of give it a little bit of a two-tone look here and there, which I think really went a long ways. But this is just spectacular, I will say. Nothing feels skimped out on, everything feels sturdy, and that goes a long way in making the kit itself feel great whenever the armor is on. So again, not really revolutionary, but this inner frame, I still love it up quite a bit. I just never really had that wow moment while building it like I did with my first real grade or even my first master grade. I may not have gotten that wow factor while building it, but wow, I get that factor now whenever I look at it because this thing is much more than the sum of its parts. It's crazy. I know I just mentioned that the LEDs, moving parts, and detailed inner frame weren't crazy to build, but dang if they don't shine out. Every major joint has at least one of these rose gold metallic pieces sticking out, whether that be up in the shoulder, at the waist, at the knee. Everywhere has one, even down at the foot. They're all really sick. You add in the bits of the inner frame that are poking out everywhere, and again, that little bit of paint really shines through. This kit just does so much more to feel alive than even some of my favorite master grades. There's something about how the armor is separated on this whole kit that I really love. There's only a few pieces that are actually touching at all times, from the legs to the arms, even the torso. So many of them are separated by that inner frame, and it exposes so much of the inner frame. It really is just a unique look that's different from even my other seed kits that I have. Even though this is a 20-year-old kit, I am very surprised at how well it's hidden most of the seam lines. The only super noticeable ones are up on the shoulder and down at the calf. Even the Skygrasper really only has the one seam running along the bottom. Pretty darn good. But what is not pretty darn good are some of the mold lines. I tried to get rid of most of these as well as I could, sanding them down, you know, scrubbing them down. But I think I probably missed some. It's a big kit. I'm sure there'll be some up on screen here. You really have to work to get those out because they are on every piece of armor that is has a decent size to it. As far as extra features on this kit, I'm going to refer back to the instruction manual. It says that these are all actually characteristics. I don't think I've ever heard it be called that. But anyways, let's check these out and see what makes this kit so special. Like I mentioned before, I've had a few kits that can use an LED unit, so I wasn't too blown away by this one. That being said, I don't think any of my other ones took nearly as much effort to get working. The Master Grade kits that I have that take an LED, they use those special Bandai ones that just come with a light and battery all in one. Not a bad light, just a bit of a pain. This one, however, required me to get the battery separate, which wasn't too bad. I had to go to a couple different stores, but it's all right. And I actually had to connect the positive and negative wires to get it working. It comes with a little bit of spring that used to make the full connection. It's really cool, and that's one of my favorite parts about this build because it made me feel like an electrician. The cockpit gimmick is a little more involved than a Master Grade, but still pretty similar. You just have to pull out the top of the chest here, pull down the front of the chest aspect here, and bam, there's a Kigali. I won't be opening it too much. I don't know why this one has a little bit of wiggle. This is probably a good time to talk about both the AILE Striker Pack and the Skygrasper, seeing as how this was an entire extra perfect grade that came with the Rouge. And that's right, this is a perfect grade. Whenever the perfect grade Strike released back in 2004, it didn't come with the AILE Striker Pack, or any of the packs for that matter. So the following year, we got the Skygrasper plus AILE Striker Pack. On its own, the Skygrasper is pretty basic. It's just got a few things going on. It comes with these two little pilot figures. The cockpit does open up like so, and hey, there's actually a lot of hidden detail in there. I gotta paint that up. Anyways, there's also the bore machine gun up top. It can swivel side to side and just a little bit up and down. These thrusters on the back can open up. This railing, I think is what it's called. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, it can do the same. The landing gear unfortunately doesn't open and retract. It's actually a parts formation. It's not too bad of one, just a little pop in, pop out. But it is a little bit annoying. One thing I did forget to mention actually is you can attach the beam rifle and shield to the Skygrasper. You just take these little pieces here, attach them like so on this side and this one on this side. Make sure that these little make sure that they're pointing the right way because the shield only goes in a certain way. But once you get them in, boom, they are, there you go, they're attached. The AILE Striker Pack doesn't have nearly as much going on either, but I can excuse that a little bit more because it is just an expansion piece, really. Each of the thrusters is on its own connector, so you can get a lot of movement. Looking back here, there's so much detail and so much machinery in the back of the fans, of the thrusters here. It's so sick. I really want to paint this bit here. I know no one will ever see it, but it just feels like it needs it. The wings have a few extra flaps here on the back, and the wings themselves can swivel downwards on this interesting connector piece that is, you kind of have to pull without actually pulling it off. That can give it a little bit of movement. It's very different. I haven't really seen one like this, but it helps give the wings just a little bit of extra movement, a little bit of extra range. I gotta say, if I got this, the Skygrasper plus AILE Striker Pack for 60 bucks, I don't know, it'd still feel like it was a bit too much for me. But honestly, unless you're dying to have the regular Strike, there's no reason to buy this on its own, since, well, it came with the Rouge. So that's how I'll be judging it at the end of the video, because obviously I didn't just buy this. I bought this, they came with the Strike Rouge. So I don't know, we'll judge it fully at the end of the video here. The next gimmick is the display stand, and well, it's a display stand. I feel like it's kind of hard to ask too much for this. It's able to put a massive model kit on top of it and some nice aerial poses. So, I mean, it does the job done. It's got 3 different angles you can work with, kind of one up top, a little bit angled and really up and down that I think is really just more so for the Skygrasper. Still really nice. You can also attach the beam rifle and shield here for storage if you don't want them on the Skygrasper or if you don't want them on the kit itself. They connect in the exact same way as they do the Skygrasper, so pretty nice. Okay, let's see what's next. Oh, the hands. Oh, if you know me, you know I'm not a fan of the 3.0 hands on Master Grades, and these are the exact same, just bigger, though I've got to be honest, size really does matter here. Each joint on these fingers is articulated, meaning you can hit some pretty cool poses, but the one thing that worries me is how these will hold up over time. My Master Grade ones did not hold up at all, and it's part of the reason why I despise them so much. So I'm curious, if you guys have any perfect grades with these hands, let me know how they hold up down in the comments below, because I'm praying that they are a little better than the Master Grades. The other three gimmicks are all just kind of things I've already mentioned, so I'll just kind of speed run them here. The arm unit, it's got some cool moving armor up on the top of the bicep here. The only super unique thing is the bend at the upper part of the wrist. It allows for just a bit of side to side and up and down movement. It really does make it feel more human than robot with the kind of movement it's doing. It's pretty cool. The legs just have a lot of moving armor as well. The upper calf and knee and the upper thigh, all of which again, pretty standard stuff for a lot of modern Master Grades. But while we're here, actually, I did want to mention this piece up here in the hip. You see it? It's that black piece. It's actually the one that holds the legs together, and it's a metal piece, or it's a special piece because it's actually very, very heavy. So you need to be careful, because you see this piece here is actually meant to lock that metal hip piece into place. But again, because of its heft, very easy to knock the locking piece out of place. So whenever you're moving the legs and you're not trying to move the hip, I'd recommend holding on to the locking piece like so, to keep it from moving around, keep it from bumping up. Just in trying to do these poses here, mine got out of place quite a few times, and it can be a little annoying. So just a little precaution if you plan on getting this. This was probably the most nervous I've ever been posing a Gunpla, even more so than my mega size Zaku, mostly because this has a lot more going on in it than that did. Starting us off in the arms, and we can get some pretty decent upwards movement, not anything too crazy. We are going to get a full 360 around at the actual shoulder, which is nice. Over at the elbow, we're going to get a full 180, which is also super nice. And this kind of side to side that I mentioned earlier, nothing crazy, but it's there. I mentioned the fingers are all completely posable, so you're going to be able to completely bend every one just like so. As far as the head, we're going to get a kind of a full 360. It almost gets stuck on the armor up there, but you can kind of, if you bump it up just a little, do a full spin. It doesn't feel very good. I don't recommend doing it, so we're just going to go ahead and put that right back. We're going to get a little bit of upwards, downwards tilt. Again, nothing too crazy, but it's going to get the job done. From the front, it looks like we're getting a lot more than what we actually are. I'd say that's pretty good. Then coming down here to the feet, it's pretty interesting. We're going to get like almost a 90-degree turn at the heel. Super wild. Side to side action also moves the side to side stuff in the calf. I really love that. The knee bend, we're going to get a full 180 even with the armor. Super sick. As far as the kick goes, we're not going to get super duper high. Just about a 90 degrees upwards and a 90 degrees backwards before you're getting hit by the armor. I wouldn't know why you'd want to go any higher with a perfect grade anyways. It's going to get too heavy, so I think it's perfect for what it is. Torso is not perfect though. It's only slight side to side movement. I was kind of surprised by this. It's on a ball joint, but it's kind of getting hit by some of that inner frame in there. We're going to get some pretty good upward side to side tilt, however, though, and you can even see those kind of metal pipings bursting through, which is really nice. But not so nice, again, is the front and back tilt. Not a whole lot there. This is everything that comes with the Strike Rouge, a pretty decent armory, I'd say, though with this being my first perfect grade, I'm unsure of how much typically comes with one, so you have to let me know if this is a lot or not a lot. What you get is as follows: the standard beam sabers, a pair of those, you get the shield, 2 armor schneiders, and one massive Grand Slam sword. And I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed with the beam rifle on this thing. I was expecting something just a bit more intricate. Intricate? I was expecting something a little bit more involved than your standard sandwiching of 2 halves and popping the scope on. That mixed with it all being one solid gray color it doesn't help it from feeling very like low effort. I don't know. There are these kind of little cap pieces that help cover the seam lines from the top, not on the bottom, unfortunately. I don't know, it just does not feel super perfect, I suppose. But I guess it is cool that you can still attach it on the back with this little knob here, but just a little bit sad. What's not sad is the Grand Slam sword. This thing is massive. It's only a few parts, but this is where I think it's okay for it to be just a few parts, because the big blade is such a cool piece, and unlike the regular strike, this one comes in a stellar rose gold color, just like all the other metallic pieces. This is so sick. I don't know if I'm gonna actually display it with it or not because it's so huge, but it's just so cool to look at. The armor schneiders are made of that same somewhat softer plastic that the hands are made of, and share my same disappointment as the beam rifle. It's all one color. Again, I know it's probably harder to do with the softer plastic, but it would be cool to see something. But it is cool that they can swivel in like so, and then they can close into the Strike Rouge's side skirting like this. Finally, the shield. Now this is what I expected from a perfect grade shield, I think. It's got some nice color separation on the front and some cool pieces around back, which give it a cool and super strong connection to the arm. You just flip open these back arm pieces, pop open the connector, slot them in, close it up, wrap the fingers around the hilt, and boom. That is one sturdy shield. I guess this is also a good time to mention that the kit does also come with a set of sticker style decals and dry rub decals. The dry rub decals, I'm cool with. I like dry rub decals quite a bit, but sticker style decals on a perfect grade, I don't know, that just feels almost criminal. So I did go ahead and buy a set of water slide decals that I will be adding on after this video, of course, so I am looking forward to those, but stickers on a perfect grade, that's crazy. But with a kit this big, of course we have to see how it stacks against some of my others. So here it is against the high-grade Strike Rouge, a little bit different there. The high-grade She Gundam, the high-grade Kshatriya, the master-grade Camphor, the master-grade Goof, the full mechanics Ariel, the master-grade Barbatos, and finally, the mega-sized Zaku 2, the only kit I have that's actually bigger than this perfect Strike Rouge. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, I've never spent this much time, money, or effort on a single Gunpla. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, the more and more effort I put into one, the more and more attached I get to it. So there's already a little bit of bias here when it comes to this kit. The build wasn't anything crazy, there aren't any crazy gimmicks in there, it's really not even that crazy detailed on the outside. And on top of it, I'm not that crazy of a fan of seed or seed designs either. That being said, this thing has just won me over somehow. There's no glaring flaws, everything did build up, you know, not spectacular, but built up super solid. The way that the armor is put on here, super great. Everything about this is just a solid 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 8 out of 10. And with those like across the board, it really makes for quite an awesome perfect grade. Especially if it's your first one like me, you know, I don't know what the perfect grade unicorn or obviously what the new Gundam is going to build like, but with this being my first one, I had a blast. With that being said, I have to give the Strike Rouge plus Skygrasper an A tier. Just falling short of that S tier, nothing spectacular again, but nothing terrible and everything just super solid, awesome. If you never built a perfect grade, I highly recommend getting this one. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is now also by far the Gunpla I've spent the most time yapping about, so I really hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate you watching until the end here. If you have any tips or anything on how I can improve the video, improve my Gunpla, let me know down in the comments and below. But again, I appreciate you guys watching. See you next time. Peace.